What has your journey been like?
I lied to my parents. I would use my snack money to take the BEST bus home.
I remember you mentioning that you used to stammer and couldn't even say one sentence completely.
They would say, here comes
Oh my God.
so that was very hard for me. And that's where this man, I talk about him in my book, I've called him the monster, started stalking me, and then he sexually abused me for a few years.
Welcome to yet another episode of That Healing Feeling with me, Neha Ranglani. And I'm so excited for you to have clicked on this episode because it only shows that you are invested in your mental health and maybe you're ready for your emotional transformation. Today's conversation with my guest can change the way you view life and create a ripple effect in probably every area of your life. She is a counseling psychologist, a mental health advocate, and author of Cancelled to Crowned. She basically helps people to overcome issues such as anxiety, burnout, self doubt with her evidence based and holistic techniques. Her journey from personal struggles to being crowned Mrs. India 2023 is truly inspirational, and her mission is to promote mental health, self love, and resilience. Today, she's going to share some unique insights with us about healing and growth. So, join me in welcoming my guest for today, Sohini Rohra. Welcome, Sohini. And
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful for you to be here and to be doing this with That Healing Feeling with Neha Ranglani.
Thank you for having me, Neha. It's all my pleasure.
Sohini, first of all, I want to congratulate you on your new book launch, Cancel to Crown.
Yes.
It's such an intriguing title and it's so powerful. Cancelled to Crown.
To crowned.
The three words actually depict your story. But I want to know from you, what has your journey been like?
First, I'm going to tell you why cancelled to crown. No child is born with a mindset that they're not good enough. Okay. Cancellation is something that we're taught. If you score well, I will reward you. If you speak well, you're a good boy or a good girl. If you get married at the right age, you are worth it. And now you're supposed to have children to be a good parent and be validated in society as doing things correctly.
Right.
Then we learn to cancel ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. So on and so forth. But a little child running around in a diaper has no such thoughts. Big bum, diaper on, diaper is full.
Yeah.
A child is like walking around thinking they're the best ever, right?
Yeah.
So they are already crowned. They are already well wrapped in their worth and their own glory,
Yeah.
right? So I believe that we're all born crowned.
Yeah.
Cancellation is something that we are taught.
And that's because we judge ourselves.
We judge ourselves.
And we are taught to judge ourselves.
Yes. We cancel ourselves. Society cancels us. As parents, we cancel our children even with the purest intent of wanting them to be their best versions.
Yeah.
But we are also teaching them cancellation.
Yes. So rejection stems from early childhood.
Yes.
We reject our kids, we reject our family members, and we belittle them for their choices. And that's when we learn to cancel ourselves.
With the purest intent, but that's what we do.
Okay. And how did you overcome your own issues? Because I was reading your book and the first chapter is about stammering.
Yeah.
And I remember you mentioning that you used to stammer and couldn't even say one sentence completely.
I couldn't say my name.
You couldn't say your name?
No, I couldn't.
And when was that?
As a child.
And till when that went on?
Going on.
Going on.
I still find myself stammering when I am anxious or I'm very overwhelmed, when I'm extremely hurt or I'm angry. It's a part of me now and I'm inclusive of it. I'm not at all ashamed of my stammer. But it was difficult when I couldn't say my name because that's the most basic. I have gone hungry during snack time in school because I couldn't buy my bread. And then I would go to the school bus and they would say, here comes this.
Oh my
So that was
God.
very hard for me. So I lied to my parents and took the public bus home. And I would use my snack money to take the BEST bus home. And that's where this man, I talk about him in my book, I've called him the monster, started stalking me, and then he sexually abused me for a few years. So it's been a journey. But I think in spite of doing so much of speech therapy and meeting a lot of people who took me through this process, I found my strength in faith. This man had come down, and it was a poor NGO that was helping stammerers. And he just told me one thing. He said, I can teach you all the techniques there are, but what I need you to do is have faith in yourself, have faith in me, and have faith in the divine. And shortly after that, I found my path, the art of living, my spiritual master, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar ji. And that's what really anchors me even today. Because I have something to hold on to and something that's holding on to me.
Right.
Constantly.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So were there any techniques that you used to overcome stammering or your speech issues? Was there any work you had to put in?
So I'm not qualified to teach techniques because I'm not a speech therapist, but your speech is directly correlated to your state of mind, which completely depends on your breath. So when you learn to navigate your breath and do pranayama, do some mindfulness practices, you automatically go into a state of calm.
Right.
And then your speech also calms down because your thought processes calm down. So you're not thinking faster than your tongue can cope up with. There's a balance.
Right. So you mentioned about stammering, and that affected your confidence and self-esteem, and you couldn't be in a group or a social setup without feeling less about yourself, right?
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people out there who battle with self-image issues of different kinds.
Yeah.
It could be because of their body or because of their skin, their hair,
Yeah.
Balding issues, or just they're not loving themselves enough for how they look or how they are.
Yeah.
What would you tell those people to do, and how could they overcome their body image issues?
It all begins in your mind. For me, even my speech is dependent on my mind. It depends on how I'm feeling that day. Am I high on energy? Am I calm? Am I accepting of who I am? We're all taught to chase perfection. Be perfect, look perfect, speak perfectly well, don't make a mistake. Like even now I'm thinking I should not say something that's incorrect while I speak to you. Right? So this is a conditioning that we have. And somewhere our flow of life is affected. And that's where we start spiraling down this bottomless pit of perfection. And believe you me, it has no end. It's a black hole.
There is no perfection, right? Nothing is perfect.
Nothing is perfect. But that's the beauty of life. So is our heartbeat. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. It can't be balanced because then you're dead. Right?
Yes.
So I think accepting your imperfections, and I'm using the word only because of a lack of a word. There is so much beauty to it.
Yes.
And when we can accept ourselves wholly and fully for who we are, I believe that's being perfect.
Right.
So of course, if you are obese, go on that diet. If you have a pimple, go to the dermatologist.
Yes.
No,
and also work on this gut.
Gut.
A lot of your skin issues stem from your gut.
Skin issues, mental health issues, anxiety. A lot of it comes from your gut.
Yes.
So take the help, but also work on keeping your mind calm, aligned. Do the breath work, have faith in yourself, faith in the divine. And you will feel anchored. And self-acceptance, come back to yourselves. Like a banyan tree, we need to go so deep within our own selves that our roots grow inside our core. And that's what makes you unshakable.
But when you talk about accepting yourself, I think in today's day and age, it's easier said than done, given the
Mm.
social media exposure and the bombardment we have,
Mm.
and with the things we see on social media. Like, even if you want to accept yourself and say you have acne, or you're maybe overweight, but then you see these perfect bodies, the perfect skin on social media. You're seeing people being their best selves, showing their best side of life, and then you think very little about yourself, because you're like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. I have very little of what they have. So how will I fit in this world? And how will, how do I set my own standards here? And how do I have my own ground when everything is so beautiful and I'm not? This is what most people would think, because social media is constantly deciding how we perceive life.
Making you question yourself.
Yeah, it's making you question yourself. But then how do you get over that social media comparison that you do with people? Because you see celebrities and you're seeing beautiful people out there. Of course, it's makeup, it's all made up, it's all fake. How do you, deal with that?
I'm going to speak from a personal point of view. Am I in 100% acceptance of myself? No. Do I like that I stammer when I'm overwhelmed? No.
Yeah.
Am I in complete acceptance of my aging process? No. But am I in acceptance of my lack of acceptance? Yes. And that's okay. Self-acceptance is not about being in 100% acceptance of who I am and who I think I should be. It's about being in acceptance of all parts of you.
Right.
In your fears, your anxiety, your dreams and desires, your failures, your lack of acceptance even. And that's what just makes it easy, right? Because then you're flowing. You're flowing with everything you have, you don't have, you want, you're hoping for.
Yeah.
So for me, that's acceptance, being in complete holistic acceptance of the good, the bad, the ugly, the beautiful, the divine, all of it, the whole package.
Right.
And I love that about me. I love my package. I love everything I am, everything I'm not, and everything I want to be.
So the other day I was reading about this term called beauty budget, which meant that people are now setting aside a huge sum of their income for cosmetic treatments, surgeries, and Botox fillers. Do you think this is because we are comparing ourselves way too much to people on social media, or the celebrities that we are watching day in, day out, and constantly, on the media?
I definitely think that comparison does play a role. Having said that, we are made to strive to be the best versions of ourselves, right? You want to be the best at what you do.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you going. It's the essence of life. Aesthetically speaking, we're in an environment where everyone is working on themselves aesthetically today.
Yeah.
More so than in the past. I'm not completely against it. My question to someone, being someone who also does take great care of my skin and my aging process, my question to a person struggling with this is simple. What's the intent behind what you're doing? Are you doing it to compete? Are you doing it because you want to be some best version of yourself? Are you doing it because you're afraid of something? What is the intent? Be very intentional about what you're doing so that you don't slip down the slippery slope and keep sliding down. Just be very, very intentional. That's my advice. I'm not saying don't do it. Please do it if that's your need, but be very intentional and aware of yourself.
So if I have to reiterate what you're saying, it's okay to do all the treatments that you want to do, but from a space of self-love and self-acceptance and wanting to be better, rather than comparing yourself to someone else and doing it because they are looking a certain way.
Understand your why.
Okay.
Simple. You're intelligent enough to understand your why and realize why you're doing what you're doing, and where you're heading
Yes.
as compared to where you want to head.
Hmm.
And then make your choice.
Okay.
You know, it's not absolutist, like
Yeah.
age with 1,000 wrinkles on your face or age with no wrinkles on your face.
Yes.
Make your choice, understand your why, be intentional and be aware.
Yes. Also, Sohini, when I was going through the index of your book, I saw a chapter on grief.
Yes.
And I want to know from you your own story, because I know you've been through something and you've overcome grief in the most spirited way. So, what was your journey like, and what is it that someone should do when they're going through grief?
Grief, we attach grief to a person dying. I attach grief to any death, whether it's a death of a relationship. You know, have you seen those children in grade 10 for their farewell? In India, you wear a sari or an Indian outfit and you meet up in school. And when they leave and they hug each other and they're saying bye to their teachers, how much they cry. That is also grief.
Yeah.
They are grieving the loss of their school days now because that's just dead. Grade 1 to 10 is dead now. It's gone. It's never coming back.
Yeah.
You grieve the loss of a relationship when you break up. That's grief. You grieve a person actually dying.
Yeah.
But in this whole process, I think grief stems more so from a part of you that has died. Right?
Yeah.
That girl or boy in grade 10 who's crying is grieving his own 16 years of school dying. There's that small version of me who I'm leaving behind back in school.
Yeah.
And so I'm constantly grieving myself.
Hmm.
And when we change that approach to grief, it's equivalent to growth. Because if I'm leaving a part of me behind, I'm also growing. That's why I'm leaving a part of me behind.
Yeah.
And somewhere when I lost my mom to cancer, I think my mom is my soulmate. You know, nobody compares to her. And when I lost her, it was very, very hard for me. But it breaks my heart and fills my heart to say that if I hadn't lost her, I wouldn't have grown. That's where I found my own voice. You know, I relied on her voice my whole life.
Yeah.
And when she was no more, I had no choice but to look out for this one voice that actually is completely connected to me, and that's my own. And that's where I rediscovered a whole new adult version of myself. And as much as I would want her by my side even now, I don't think I could have discovered myself if she hadn't gone.
Yeah.
So with grief comes growth. The pain and the growth are completely connected. Grief takes you closer to yourself because I think no pain equivalents to grief. And when you have endured this level of pain and gone past it, you become untouchable after a point.
Unshakable. Yeah.
Yes, completely unshakable.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that grief is like a stone. Okay, this bigger stone, if I put it in a 5-year-old's pocket, it's really heavy for him. Then the 5-year-old will become 10. Stone becomes lighter.
Yeah.
5-year-old becomes 20.
Wow.
Stone becomes lighter. 5-year-old becomes 40. Stone becomes even lighter.
Yeah.
The size of the grief hasn't changed. We have grown.
Wow.
And that growth only comes with grief.
That's powerful.
So that stone is important to make you resilient to life. So when we are grieving, I always tell my clients, sit with it, hold on to it, dive into that darkness, because it's only there that you'll actually find light. And the truest, brightest light that's yours. not given to you by your parents, by the universe, by the sun. It's just an inner golden light, and that only comes in those dark spaces.
But we may also slip into a victim mindset when we are
Yes.
grieving.
Correct.
And that can be a very terrible space to be in, but also a very comfortable space to be in for most people, because
Yes.
a victim mindset
It can become an escape.
yeah, you're just very comfortable with being
Yeah.
the victim and then blaming everything around you, people, situations, life, and saying मेरे साथ ही ऐसा होता है, मेरे साथ ही ऐसा हुआ, and
Yeah.
being the just being the dukhi person in life.
Yes.
But how do you not allow the victim mindset to take over when you're grieving? Because it's a very thin line and you can just slip into that state.
Yes. That's why you take therapy and support at that point.
Hmm.
It is very, very important to see. We have support in many forms.
Hmm.
You can have a spiritual path, a spiritual guru. You have psychologists. You
Yeah.
have friends, and you have support everywhere,
Hmm.
healthy and unhealthy.
Very true.
Okay. It all comes back down to intent. I am intentionally choosing to take healthy support to grow out of this space.
Hmm.
And that doesn't make me weak. It actually makes me stronger, because it takes a lot of courage to go out and say, look, I need help.
Right.
I'm not okay. I took help. When I lost my mom, I could not move out of bed.
Hmm.
I called up my psychiatrist colleague and I took pharmaco intervention.
Hmm.
In spite of being on a spiritual path, in spite of having all the tools in place, I took 10 days of it and I bounced back.
Yeah.
And it's okay to take help. I mean, being
It
a
is.
psychologist, if I'm like, doc, give me some anti-anxiety pills, I'm not being able to move. This grief has taken over. My children are suffering. My clients are suffering. I have exams in 3 months.
Yeah.
I just have to get out of this. My dad's not okay. I can't afford to be in bed. And I took the help. And I'm so proud of it.
Yeah, and I absolutely resonate with it, because
Yeah.
I seeked help 2 years back and I came to you and I was like,
And look at you today.
I was like, Sohini, what's going on? I am not able to figure myself out.
Yeah.
The anxiety was gripping and I was just not able to get out of that anxiety loop.
Yeah.
And it was a terrible space to be in. And
Yeah.
I remember you telling me, Neha, it's you're just transitioning. I also remember you gave me a mantra which said, I am transitioning and I'm shedding my old self. And it's okay that I don't know who I am, but I'm fully inclusive of everything that I'm feeling and everything that I'm becoming. I remember that mantra.
Wow. Wow.
You made me write it down.
Wow. Yeah.
And that was powerful. So every time that I felt that, I don't know who I am, what's going on, what am I feeling? Because anxiety can be extremely debilitating at a lot of levels.
Oh, yes.
And I used to open the notes, read the mantra, and remind myself it's okay. I'm going through something, I'm transitioning. This is not the new me. I'm shedding my old skin, and I'm inclusive of everything that's going on within me,
Yes.
around me, and it'll all be okay one day.
Yeah.
And that was powerful. It was really profound, and it really helped me to overcome anxiety, and it was a process.
Yes.
But when we talk about therapy, you touched upon a very important topic, and in my opinion, I think therapy should be included in school, colleges,
Yeah.
organizations,
Yeah.
hospitals, everywhere.
Yes.
But still, therapy is quite a big stigma for a lot of people. If you tell them therapist ke paas jao, there are a lot of clients, I've sent you a lot of clients that needed help, but some of them are still very apprehensive. The first thing they'll say is, do I really need therapy?
I'm
And
not crazy.
in their head, they'll be like, मैं पागल थोड़ी हूँ यार कि मुझे
Yeah.
therapy की ज़रूरत है. And even if they don't tell me directly,
Yeah.
their family member will come and tell me, अरे they are not ready. वो घर जाके बोल रहे थे कि यार मैं पागल थोड़ी हूँ कि मुझे therapy की ज़रूरत है. What is this stigma all about, and why is it so prevalent? We are in the 21st century, and why is just that talking to a professional and pouring your heart out is still looked down upon? I don't know. Why is that happening?
I'm not sure either. I just think it is some sort of a conditioning where I am strong. It's an irrational belief. I am strong. I can do it. I don't need help. I have friends and family. I don't give therapy to my friends.
Yeah.
Because if my close friend comes and tells me that my husband said this, I'll say, "Jack isko ek de de."
It would be a very
Because
biased
I'm
opinion and
emotional.
suggestion.
I am emotional. I have feelings. I am in love.
Yeah.
Right? So with my client, I have the objectivity to rationalize, see her husband's perspective, see where it's coming from, because I have a grip over my own emotions.
Yeah, and you're neutral.
Completely
You're neutral.
neutral.
There's no bias on
Correct.
any of the sides, and
Correct.
you're also there to help as a professional. With
Absolutely.
friends, I understand.
So
how it
I'm
is.
able to see things holistically.
Yeah.
Right? So when we go to our friends and family for support, you're going to get एक दे दे उसको या shout at him,
छोड़ दे
छोड़
उसको.
दे उसको, divorce कर ले, ये कर ले. So that's where
Yeah.
that person doesn't have objectivity.
Hmm.
Right? So when you go to a therapist, you're basically when you go to a qualified therapist who has a master's and is properly trained and qualified to work with you, always please check the qualifications of the psychologist or the coach you go to.
Yeah.
They are well trained to give you a safe space to say what you feel, to be able to reflect clearly to you, your own mind.
But I've also heard a lot of people saying, therapy mein kya hai, sirf jaake baat to karna hai. And I was like, that's the most important thing, because you don't have anyone else to speak to, and no one else is going to get what you're going through and understand where it's coming from. I mean, you can share it with your friends, family. Like you said, we all speak to our friends, family, but we get very biased suggestions.
Yes.
It's not
yes.
productive, and
Yes.
it's not something that's good for us. May not be good for us. Sometimes it may, sometimes it may not.
Correct.
But then I know this thing definitely is a mindset of people that it's just about talking. Why am I paying so much money to just go and talk? I can talk to my friends.
Talking and understanding where I'm coming from. What is the root cause? Where are these fears or these blocks stemming from? Right?
Yeah.
What conditioning as a child is making me think, believe, and behave in a certain way? And when we understand the root cause of that, then we can yank that root out.
Yeah.
Now, that objectivity will only come from someone who's not part of your life.
Absolutely. So guys, it's very important to understand that therapy is not just going and talking to someone. It's going and talking to someone who's going to understand your subconscious patterns and understand the root cause of your mental emotional issues and help you overcome it in the most constructive and in the most beautiful manner.
Collaborative way.
Yes. And also to help you heal from within so that you can perceive life in a better way and overcome your own blocks and mindset that is pulling you back. Thank you. Thank you,
So you don't need to be crazy for therapy. I have a therapist.
I have a therapist.
I'm often asked, even when I get angry, how could you have such an irrational response? You're a psychologist. Or being a psychologist, how can you behave like that? And I'm like, right now I'm not in the therapy room, and these responses are indicative to me that I need to go and talk to my therapist and get an objective view on why I'm behaving like this.
It's like people looking into a nutritionist plate and saying, how can you eat samosa or vada pav? You're a nutritionist. Because I think we are judged for our profession, and we are judged in a way that we have to always be right, always make the right choices. But I think people don't understand that we make choices and we are aware of our choices, our actions, and our behaviors, and everything that we are doing it with a sense of awareness. And that's the difference between somebody who's not aware and somebody who's aware. So
correct. Intentional. Intentional actions.
Yeah. Absolutely. But thank you for sharing light about therapy, because I think that's something people need to understand and shift their mindset and seek help if they need to, because that's the most courageous thing that they can ever do.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what is stopping you from going to a doctor and saying that my tummy is hurting?
Yeah.
I mean, if we are so capable as individuals to take care of all our body, mind and soul, then you don't need anyone.
Then you don't need anyone.
No.
So if you can go to a doctor and say my tummy is hurting, you can go to a therapist and say my heart is hurting.
My heart is hurting. My head is hurting.
My emotions are painful. I mean, you can do that. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean we don't seek help for it. I mean,
yes.
I
Oh,
like
my thoughts are clouding me. And
Yeah.
sometimes it just takes one tool
Yeah.
to get a grip on those thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that only a professional will know.
Exactly.
You want to eat sushi, you go to a Japanese restaurant. It's actually, for me, it's as simple as that.
Yeah. That's true. I mean, I remember I was listening to Sister Shivani's video, and she very beautifully said once that when someone has an injury, or say they've broken their leg, or any physical ailment, you see it and you sympathize with them. And it's painful because they are going through some pain and some, problem in their body. But when someone goes through a mental, emotional issue, just because we can't see it, we think either they are overreacting, or we think that they are being, very unreasonable in life, or we start judging them. But we don't realize that they are actually going through a mental problem or an emotional problem, and that's why they are behaving the way they are behaving. And I think that goes for ourselves as well, right? So when we have pain, we know we have pain. But when we have pain in our heart, or we have negative thoughts, or our thoughts or emotions are bogging us down, why don't we see it as a pain and seek help?
First of all, we can see it in their reactions and their responses.
Yeah.
Okay. Secondly, the person judging also needs help.
Yes.
Because they are being triggered. What is a trigger? A trigger is an indication to a space that needs help.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I personally get triggered by very loud voices. If two people are having a fight near me, I get anxiety. I know where it's coming from. But the fact that it's still triggering me means I still do need to work on that part of me.
Yeah.
Right? So if I am judging them for fighting, it not only indicates that they need help because they are fighting, it also indicates that I need help
because you're getting affected.
Because I'm getting triggered by it.
You're being shaken by it.
So both need therapy.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think we all get triggered by something or the other in our life. And we always blame it on the other person. Because that person did this or said this, I felt this way. And then the blame is always on the other person.
You made me feel this way. Change your statement to I am feeling this way. Maybe because of this. And this is affecting me because. Fill the gaps. You'll find your answer in that. Wow. So change it to I am feeling this way. I wish for this. I wish this did not happen. Add a because, fill those gaps, and you'll find your answer. Take responsibility.
Right.
Shift it. Okay, I got abused by this man for 3 years. Okay. How did that make me feel? I could not protect myself from him then because I was a child. So I'm angry.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm sitting across you as a fully grown adult, very capable of protecting myself from an abuser.
Yeah.
I have two choices. Either I keep blaming him and stay in victim mode, or I take responsibility for where I'm at right now. And look at the power that lies in taking responsibility.
Yeah.
It's one hell of a superpower. The moment you give up blame and take responsibility, you become magnanimous.
Yeah.
Because that is a very, very, very solid superpower to have.
Yeah, because I think you're not giving your remote control away to anyone.
To no one.
It's in your hands, and you are dictating how you're going to feel, react, respond, behave in any situation.
Correct.
And no one else external of you has any power over you.
I'm not sure you can dictate how you feel, but how you react.
Respond. Yeah.
Or respond.
Yes.
And what you do out of your feeling, how you process it, how you change your narrative, how you work on your perspective. And that's what can change the feeling. But to change the feeling, we have to feel the feeling.
Yeah. So you can shift your lens and then change what shows up in your life.
Absolutely.
Well, right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I also want to touch upon emotional eating. When we go through all these emotions, grief, anger, anxiety, fear, it's it's not a pleasant feeling. We're not feeling comfortable. We want to run away from ourselves
Yeah.
because we obviously don't want to face those feelings. Very few of us are taught to sit with ourselves. Actually, we are not. Life teaches us, I think, more than anything, life teaches you to be with yourself eventually. And because no one ever tells us in school that, okay, listen, meditate, be with yourself,
Yeah.
solitude. We've never been taught about that. But when we feel those emotions, we want to soothe them, right? And I see a lot of clients binging on food, alcohol, ice creams, chocolates, and
Fried food. That's
fried
my
food.
go-to.
Yeah. I mean, we all have our
Yeah.
specific foods that
Yeah.
soothe us.
Yeah.
But you must be seeing a lot of clients coming with emotional eating issues and binge eating issues, eating disorders. And how do you guide them to overcome it?
First of all, if someone comes to me with an eating disorder or unhealthy eating, so to say, I don't think that I am qualified enough to work with them on my own. I have to collaborate with a nutritionist.
Yeah.
Because only a nutritionist can guide them to eat correctly. I can guide them with how to manage their thoughts, right? So it has to be collaborative. Secondly, what do you do when you're binge eating? Why are you overeating? Because you're trying to fill a void.
Yeah.
You're trying to fill a space within you that's not getting filled, come what may, right? So usually you binge eat. One binge eats when someone passes away, when a relationship breaks up, when they have failed at something, right? So there's a part of you that's gotten lost and you're unable to fill it. So you fill that space with food. For me, that, in my opinion, that comes from our childhood again, because about 2 years ago, my son came to me and he said, Mama, I need to talk to you. And I had lost my mom and I was overworked and there was too much going on. And for some time, I told him that, not right now, please. Okay. After a few times, I found that every time I told him not right now, he ate a chocolate. He needed to come to a safe space and say to his mother, his primary caretaker, his comfort zone, his safe space, his anchor, his protector, that I'm not okay. This is what's going on. But mom was too preoccupied with her own life at that point to give him the space to come and say that I need help. What did he do with that void? Being a 6-year-old kid, he doesn't understand healthy coping mechanisms.
Of course.
So he went and ate a chocolate. Luckily, it hit me in time. I went and I asked him, you've been coming to me for a while to speak about something. What's going on? He said, this boy downstairs is bullying me and he's doing this and that. And my son needed help. And I was unable to give it to him. So if I had not addressed it in time, I would have most definitely created a pattern of binge eating for him as he would grow up.
Right.
So the awareness as adults needs to come at a very early age. If we provide the emotional support that children need and we teach them healthy coping ways, they may not go to food that easily.
But even adults go through emotional eating, like, if they've had a breakup or a divorce, or say they've just been through a very rough episode in their life, they also resort to emotional eating. Because I have clients who maybe didn't have the emotional eating issues as kids, but as adults, they've developed the issue because they couldn't have a better way to deal with it, or just they didn't know any better.
So first of all, are you aware of the intensity of the void that you're feeling? So how self-aware are you? Secondly, do you know exactly what this void is? Is it this a situation, or is it a series of these situations that has been happening since you were a child? Okay. So what exactly is this void? Are you aware of the void? What exactly is this void? Thirdly, do you know how to cope with it? And are you aware that there are other ways to deal with it?
Okay.
Are you willing to do the work
Hmm.
that's involved? Because healing is a messy process.
It is.
You go roll in that muck and you
It is.
it's very non-linear and you're
Yeah.
dealing with so many facets. So are you willing to do that work?
Hmm.
It all boils down to all these questions.
Right.
But it begins with self-awareness.
Right. That's true. I think nothing changes without awareness. Awareness is the first step to change.
Awareness and wanting to do it.
Yeah. Willingness. Awareness and willingness
Absolutely.
are two
Yes.
most important factors
Yeah.
to bring about
Yeah.
a long-lasting change, right?
Absolutely.
Amazing. All right. So before we move on to the next segment, I want to quickly give a shout out to my amazing sponsor, Urban Platter, for powering our first season of That Healing Feeling with Neha Ranglani. You know, Sohini, after COVID, I've seen a lot of cases that take anxiety in the health history form as a part
Yeah.
of their health issues that they are dealing with. And 8 out of 10 people for sure take anxiety. And I always wonder, why is it that anxieties become so prevalent now after COVID, and why is everyone facing anxiety? What's going on?
Let's first understand what is anxiety. Anxiety is the fear of uncertainty. It's the fear of something that may or may not happen or exist. It's a situation that your head
Yeah.
creates and you start fearing it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, why is uncertainty so scary? Because you don't know where you're heading. Now, if you're correlating it to COVID, then that was the most uncertain time of our lives.
Right.
So we all experienced very high levels of anxiety because we all thought that the world is going to end
Yeah.
and we're all going to die.
Yeah. And if we survive, we don't know where we are going to be and how we
Are
are
we
going
going to even
live.
have money?
Yeah, money and
Correct.
yeah, I mean, and people were also losing family members and close
Correct.
ones and friends,
Correct.
relatives to COVID.
So a lot of death was happening
Yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Family members, businesses were dying, relationships. So many divorces happened in
Yeah.
COVID. So everything was just dying,
Yeah.
so to say.
Hmm.
So that's where anxiety built rapidly amongst people because of the uncertainty that COVID brought. So that's just a correlation that I'm making.
Yeah.
Anxiety is just plain and simple fear. Okay? I'm afraid and I'm anxious about what's going to happen or not going to happen.
Right.
When you're feeling anxious, when I'm feeling anxious, I usually tell myself this quote. It's a very impactful coping statement that I have developed for myself is, Sohini, please understand that the fear of fear is bigger than the fear itself. Because what we're imagining as fearful may or may not exist. Like, for me, stammering is an issue. So when I was waiting to come on here, I was like, shit, Sohini, what if you stammer?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then I said, theek hai na, if I stammer, we'll cut and we will restart it.
Yeah.
Or theek hai na, if you stammer, let it be there. Let
Yeah,
everyone
because-
know that you can stammer and you can still achieve stuff in life.
Yeah, like you rightly said, none of us are perfect, and
Correct.
the beauty is in the imperfection.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right? So the fear of fear was larger because the fear didn't manifest. I haven't stammered even once.
Yeah.
Right? So we are fearing something that we are imagining, and your imagination can go wild.
Wild.
I can imagine a monster standing right there.
Yes.
Right? So we need to remind ourselves that what I'm fearing may or may not exist. It's a part of my imagination. And come back to your breath. What do you do when a baby is crying? No one has taught a mother to take her hand, put it on her baby's chest and pat. Did anyone come and tell you
No.
that when you pat someone's chest and you put your hand on their heart, it immediately calms the nervous system and it
No.
has these scientific effects on the body and it does this and that? Nobody
Yeah,
has
we
said
do it
this.
instinctively.
It's a natural response.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
So take your hand, put your hand on your heart and give yourself that security that you need. So inhale, exhale.
Like the all is well thing from Three Idiots.
Something like that. Something like
Yeah.
that. And who's afraid Who is afraid? Going back to my example, that little girl who went on stage in school every time she had to recite a poem or read out a paragraph from an English textbook stammered.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's always in a state of panic when it comes to speaking.
Hmm.
So she's now telling me, Sohini, be careful.
Yeah.
All your life you've gone on stage and stammered. Now you're going to come in front of a mic and you're going to stammer and everyone's going to laugh at you.
Hmm.
So she's the one creating the panic. So how do you calm a child down? By making, in my case, her feel secure,
Right.
safe, aligned, calm.
Hmm.
And there are many, many tools that one can use to kind of calm that nervous energy down.
Hmm.
But eventually, the trick is to work on that inner child who's scared.
Hmm.
So I can give you 20 rules: tap, snap, tap, breathe, 4-7-8 breathing, equal breathing, alternate nostril breathing, Bhastrika. I can give you many tools.
Yeah.
But who's the one who's scared? Let's go and reach out to her or him. And that's a fragile, vulnerable child who didn't know how to cope because she or he didn't have the strength.
Yeah.
So they held on to fear.
Hmm.
And we need to go and give her the support or him the strength that they need to move past that fear so they can stop telling you, be scared, be careful. It's just a protective mechanism. It's coming and knocking on your door to tell you that, look, there are these parts of you that you've not addressed. And I have the information.
Right.
So reach out to me. I will tell you why I'm scared and heal from here.
Wow. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Like, it's something that is always telling us that things may go wrong, be careful, or I don't know what's going to happen. And that's when the anxiety comes up, is what you're trying to say.
Correct.
That's amazing. So if you have to give me 3 top hacks to calm my anxiety down in the moment, what would they be?
So I believe it eventually comes down to breath. Okay. Just take your attention to your breath and count. Count 4 in, 4 out. Okay. Sometimes a longer exhalation is more relaxing. So you can even do 4 in, 6 out. Okay. Another tool that really works is ice. Yeah. That's my favorite. I either chew on ice, drink ice water, splash your face with ice. But if you have your mascara on, you can't do that.
Yeah.
But you can take ice and rub it on your hands. It immediately calms you down. Okay. A third tool, and in my opinion, the most effective tool is to pick up the phone or reach out to a person you trust and take support. So if you are an anxious person, have one person who's trained to help you cope with it. Like my anxious clients have the liberty to call me at any time that they are having an anxiety attack. Whether it is at 12 a.m., whether it is at 6 a.m., whether I am working. And sometimes I know that this call means that I need to stop even if I am in a session because this person is getting a panic attack. And clients are very accommodating of each other because they all know they are struggling. So reach out. Go to someone who can remind you that you're safe. Give your inner child who's panicking the support and safety that he or she is seeking at that moment. So there are multiple tools. There are 5 senses, 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can smell, taste, touch.
Yeah.
There are many, many tools, but what another human can give you is unmatchable. Because who's afraid?
Right.
Your inner child, your most vulnerable self is afraid. And that part of you will do well with support and safety and love and comfort.
Today, Sohini, we are living in this gossip and cancel culture. People gossip about you and then they create stories about you in their head and then they cancel you. And that has a huge impact on the person who's being cancelled.
Yeah.
Right? So how does one deal with that?
So I'm going to share something that I have never really shared. I have been a victim to gossip and cancel culture. And I think that's why I named my book Cancelled to Crown as well. There was a time period in my life when I was struggling with a lot of things, and I was gossiped about on the basis of a rumor by communities. Okay, and I felt very ostracized and cancelled. And I think it for a large period of time, it made me very, very vulnerable. It made me question myself, my own self-worth, my identity even. I lost very, very close friends. I won the loss of many close friends who abandoned me at that point. And that is the time that I decided that as a coping mechanism, I had prayed. I said, God, help me become so magnificent that I can't hear the voice of these people. Let them gossip. But I want to become so big that they can say whatever they want to say, that voice won't reach me. And with God's grace, it is happening. Okay, so I participated in the pageant. I won a Mrs. India. I won the crown. Then I wrote my book, Touchwood. It's working. But in the process, I learned a very important lesson, which was be so fiercely protective of yourself that no matter what happens, you will never, ever abandon yourself. Besides cancellation, we are also taught to abandon ourselves. Be good, be kind. These are all essential traits, but we don't know where to draw a line. So we are constantly abandoning ourselves, right? Be good to your partner. It's okay given. Be nice. It's okay given. Don't express your feelings to your parents. It's rude. It's okay given. So abandonment 1, abandonment 2, abandonment 3, abandonment 4. And that just becomes a part of us, and we don't even realize we're abandoning ourselves. There, again, root cause to anxiety. I'm abandoning myself. I'm alone. I have no one to stand by me. So now I'm fearful because I am coping completely on my own. No support, scared, anxious. Right? So whenever one is a victim to gossip and cancel culture, please remember that this reflects not on you, but on them. That they are hiding from their own reality, their own lives, their own triggers, their own failures. They're focused on you.
Yeah.
And that reflects on them, not you. Now, how do you turn this into an advantage for you? Work towards your growth. Use that time to retrieve. Because any interaction is like adding fuel to fire. Right? So I retrieved. And I thought to myself, how do I beat these people by becoming the best version of myself? And today, all of them want to be my friends. They all want to come back. That's a story apart. But when we focus our energies on ourselves and our own growth, that's when you can expand more and more and grow more and more. And all of this just doesn't matter. Today, anyone can say anything about me and I don't even pay attention to it.
So basically shift your focus back to yourself.
Back to yourself.
And let haters hate.
Become that banyan tree. Become so solidly rooted within yourself, internally, that your roots are untouchable because they are not growing out of you. They're not dependent on anyone else for their nutrients, sunshine, water. It's all within you. It's all within your control. You are the provider to the nutrition of your own roots.
Right. So let haters hate, but you continue to radiate.
Something like that. Something like that.
Lovely. So Sohini, if you have to give me 5 top non-negotiables or tips or hacks to build self-confidence and reclaim your self-worth, what would they be?
One, And the most important one, according to me, is your self-talk.
Hmm.
Under no circumstance should we ever say something as simple as, oh, I'm so dumb, I forgot to carry the pen.
We do that all the time
All
now.
the time.
All the time.
All the time.
I'm so stupid.
Yeah.
I'm so crazy. We do it all the time.
And we say it so simply, but
Yeah.
we forget that we are carrying our inner child with us all the time. So
Yeah.
if I'm 40, I'm carrying 40 plus inner childs with me all the time, and they're constantly listening, and you don't know who's absorbing what. Be very, very mindful of what you say to yourself.
Right.
Okay? Boundaries. Set very, very solid boundaries. And it's okay to say no. When we say no with kindness and compassion, both for ourselves, our relationships, and our environment, we are saying no in a very healthy way with a pure intent. So it's okay to say no. Kindness begins at home.
True.
Okay? Discipline. Discipline is very, very important because it helps you balance. So when I'm disciplined about the food I eat, when I'm disciplined about my mindfulness activities, breath work, or my dhyan, and my exercise, or my hobbies, my reading time, and so much more, I'm basically aligning my body, my mind, my soul, and I'm making sure that I'm giving importance again to the most important person in this world, and that's me. And that makes me a good provider as well, right? So self-talk, discipline, boundaries, and abandonment. Under no circumstance am I going to abandon myself. Okay, so whenever I'm in a situation, I ask myself, am I abandoning myself right now? And the answer is yes, sometimes. And then I am making an intentional decision to abandon myself because I may sometimes need to. Like if I'm abandoning myself for my kid or for someone I love. But the choice has to be intentional. So never get into a habit of abandoning yourself. Okay? And my fifth non-negotiable is to make sure I take support and help when I need. Take help, take support. Go to a therapist, go to a coach, go to someone who's qualified enough to help you cope and come out of your situation.
Those were the amazing 5 tips to build confidence.
And faith.
And faith.
My 6th one.
Oh, okay.
Actually, that's my first one.
Yeah.
Faith is so important, to have an anchor, to have faith in yourself, to have faith in your relationships, to have faith in the divine. Life has panned out till now and it will continue to do so.
Yes.
So faith is this beautiful anchor that actually supports all of these 5 that I mentioned.
Beautiful, Sohini.
Yes.
That was amazing. And I've learned so much from you today.
Thank you, Neha.
Your pearls of wisdom have been an absolute delight.
Thank you.
On this episode. So we're going to quickly get into our rapid fire round. Quick, fun, and interesting. Let's make it all about that.
Let's try.
Okay. So what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Breathe. Consciously.
Okay. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Circle by Post Malone.
Okay.
Because I'm constantly looking for patterns.
That's a good one. What's your go-to comfort food when you're stressed?
French fries and chocolate.
Okay. If you could switch lives with anyone for a day, who would it be and why?
Absolutely no one. Absolutely no one.
You love your journey.
Yes. Yes. I have learned to love myself, and I don't think anyone else could have taught me this profound lesson but my own journey.
Lovely. What's the one thing you can't live without?
Faith.
Okay. Tell us one funny or embarrassing thing that happened during a therapy session. No names, of course.
Oh, so I had this client who had, who was extremely always stressed about log kya kahenge. So I said, okay, let's do there's this concept called a shame attack. So I said, let's go to the park across. So we went to a park, and I didn't tell my client why we are going. We reached the park. God is so kind. Anyways, we reached the park, and I started running backwards. And I said, I'm rewinding my life to the time when I was not anxious.
Yeah.
And I put my hands and I yelled out saying, anyone want to join me? And there were two people who started running backwards with me, and my client was dying of embarrassment. Eventually, we became a group.
Oh.
And everyone started saying, I'm rewinding my life because my client didn't have the courage at that point to run backwards, but she spot jogged and said, I am buffering my life to prepare myself to run backwards with you all. And I think that was such an achievement for me. And we all joined in and had so much fun. So that was a sweet incident that happened.
Nice. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Never abandon yourself again.
What's your superpower?
Faith and perspective.
What's the most adventurous thing you've done?
The most adventurous thing I have done, I don't know. I think for me, the fact that I went up on stage and spoke was the biggest, most difficult adventure I may have ever had, and I still continue to do so.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's an adventure in its own self.
Oh, yes.
Yes. If you had to describe yourself in 3 words, what would they be?
Wow. Resilient, accepting, and loving.
Lovely. And with that, we've come to an end of our episode. And I'm so grateful for you to do this with us and share your insights on therapy, on healing, on grief, anger, anxiety, so many things that you've shed light on.
I'm so grateful to be here, Neha. Thank you for having me. And I'm going back with a healing feeling.
You're also going back with a pretty hamper.
Oh, exciting.
By Urban Platter. And
lovely.
All things thoughtful in there to make you healthy mentally, emotionally, physically. So thank you once again. And
thank you, Neha.
Thank you, everyone.